Well, hello, stamping friends. My name is Lorri Heiling, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. Thank you so much. And in case you haven't visited my blog before, the name of it is Confessions of a Stamping Addict. And I would love for you to just check it out and see if there's something there that could maybe inspire you and maybe get you in the Christmas mode, because that's what we are going to be working on today. Let me show you the stamp sets that I chose to work with. Gnome for the Holidays, in case you don't know, is one of my favorite. You've probably seen quite a few of different projects using this, but I just really love these little gnomes. They are everywhere in my house during the different seasons. And then the one I paired it with is Perfectly Plaid, and this stamp set came out last year, but it's really a great set. That's why they carried it over. It was popular. And what's nice about this is there's a punch that matches this, so you don't have to do fussy cutting. All right, and then the paper that I chose to use is called 'Tis the Season, and it's in the holiday catalog on page 31. And the colors in this paper pack is Basic Black, Cherry Cobbler, Garden Green, Real Red, Shaded Spruce, and Whisper White. There's lots of fun things that you can use to embellish that will match. And I love that they put Cherry Cobbler and Real Red together, which you'll see in a minute. So that's the paper, and this is a 6x6 pack, and you get 48 sheets. You'll get 4 each of the 12 different designs. And I have cut into this already, but I'll show you some of the prints just so you can get an idea. And you can see how the Real Red and Cherry Cobbler is used together. So they're just really nice. I've had fun with this. Here's one of the popular plaids. This is all I've left of that plaid. You can see I use that one a lot. All right, so let's get started, and I think we will start by showing you the card base. This is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of shaded spruce cardstock, and I scored it in half on the long side, which would make that 4 1/4, and then just fold on the score line. The next thing I did was I took, and you're going to see it on the front already, I cheated. I took 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches for the bottom red piece, which has Real Red and Cherry Cobbler, and I kind of angled it a little bit to the left, but you can see all my corners are still on the front. And then I did the same thing with the Christmas tree paper, 4 3/4 by 3.5, and just shifted it to the right. Again, all 4 corners are still on the page. So that's the base of the card front. Now let's get to stamping. We're going to start by stamping the little gnome on a scrap piece of Whisper White, and we're going to be coloring with blends, which means that we need to use Memento Black ink, and the reason is because this ink will not bleed when you color with it. All right, and it's okay that that didn't pick up because we aren't even going to use that part. The blend colors that I'm using are light and dark Real Red, dark Daffodil Delight, and light Petal Pink. And when I use blends that are two of the same color but different shades, I always like to start with the lighter one. So let's do his hat in light Real Red. And it doesn't matter if you keep going over the same spot, because blends do not leave a line if you go over in the same area. That's why they call them blends. They just blend and it looks like a nice solid piece. So that's all you have to do for that one. Then we're going to do the dark Real Red, and what I did was I just went over the outlines of these little snowflakes all over, and I just really am trying to get more different color variations in the hat, so that's why I'm kind of going. And then I kind of you can do an outline, just try to bring some shading in that way. Okay. Then the next one we're going to do is that bell will be in dark Daffodil Delight. Just color that in. See how it doesn't pull the black in. And we forgot his little arms, so we'll go back and do that. And one more part will be his face. And I don't know, when I do the gnomes, my favorite skin tone is the light petal pink, but you can use different colors like light crumb cake if you want them to have a little bit of a suntan. So that's what I used. All right, the next part we're going to do is we are going to fussy cut this, but like I said, don't worry about that beard that it didn't pick up there. I probably should use my little piercing mat on that. All right, when you cut, I want you to cut right under his hat, and then I want you to get his eyes in there and then go around his nose. So we're basically cutting off his beard and his mustache. And then you're gonna wanna aim for under his eye again, because we wanna see his face, his tiny little face there. And then cut out the rest of the hat. And I did not leave much of a border here. I just cut it, you know, just cut right on that black line like that. Now, I want to show you one thing on purpose. I'm not going to go around the bell because that's a little bit tight, but I want to show you a little trick I discovered. Sometimes you may not hit it all the way, like I'm going to go right by the edge, but I meant to go by the edge, but I didn't quite get it. One little trick you can do is just take the color you were working on and you can just ink up that edge there, and then it doesn't look like you went over the edge. So if you put it on a dark background, you see how it just kind of blends and you won't have that really light edge. I'll do it on this side too. There you go. So I hope you could see that with the camera. All right, so pretend like this is all the way cut out, and I do have one here just so you can see how I did that. And then you're even gonna cut out these tiny little hands, and you want the arms, but just the hands and not the beard. So we're gonna fussy cut that out. That's probably the hardest part of this project, but just put in a good movie and you'll be fine. At this point, you could do a Christmas movie, and that's what it's gonna look like. Don't sneeze or this is gonna go flying. And then cut out the other one as well. And like I said, I do have some already cut out. Actually, I could have used that one. So there's the left hand looking at it from the front, and there's the right one looking at it. I guess it's his left and his right, but as I look at it, left and right, it doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm going to leave that there because we're going to use it in a second, but I want to bring this over here and start on this other part. This is a stitched shape die set, and you get 3 shapes in it. You get the ovals, the squares, and the circles, and there's 4 different sizes of each of those. So those are kind of my go-tos. I use those a lot, and I think this is the second largest one, but I'll measure just to make sure it's 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. Now we're going to take shaded spruce because this matches the greens that we've already used, and we're going to use the stamp that's really full and thick. I chose this one here. All right, so let's just stamp that on the Whisper White and kind of aim towards the bottom of the oval. Okay, there's the tree. You can set that aside. All right, now we need to build this. Can you tell what I'm going to do yet? It's so fun. So I put 2 dimensionals on the back, and I am going to turn this Christmas tree into a gnome tree. You may have seen some people decorate their houses like this. It's a real tree they use. And then I'm going to take, because those hands are so tiny, we're just going to put little dots of glue here where they're going to go. Just like that. And then we will take our pick tool, because these are hard to maneuver when you just have your fingers doing it. And we're going to put him kind of reaching up like this. And the other one on this side. There he is. Isn't that fun? Now, you could quit here and say, okay, that's good. But OCD me has to go one step farther, and I cut out another nose, and I colored him in and fussy cut it. And I'm going to even make this stand up so it's even more popped. You don't have to do that step. That's totally a little extra thing that you didn't have to do, but I really want lots of dimension on this. Then I'm going to take a tiny little glue dot, and this glue dot is maybe like a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, but it's too big for what I wanted, so I'm just going to squish it down And so it's a little ball, and I'm going to put it at the top of the bell because I just feel like it needs a bow, because there is a bow in the stamp itself, but you can't really see it when it's stamped. So I'm going to put my own real bow on top, and that's in linen thread. All right, now we are ready to put this onto an oval that I made, and this is out of this layering ovals. And let me measure the size of that one, if I can find my ruler here. And this one is just a little bit bigger than that stitched oval, which will make it almost 3 by almost 2. And I think we're not going to put dimensionals on this one, just because he's getting kind of a lot of dimension, and I don't want to put a second stamp on this. So we'll just make this one flat, but I will be putting dimensionals underneath this whole thing when I put it on the card front. All right, isn't he cute? Oh my gosh, I just love him. All right, now we're going to put him on the front, and let me grab some more dimensionals. And I think all we need is about 4 on here. And then I'm going to show you one more little trick before we end this card. So you may have seen another card that I did for my Stamp-A-Stack. I used kind of a play on words with the gnome theme going. So let's put him about right in the middle, and you can see why I chose that paper. Now we have the tree theme going, so we will put him right there. I guess I hiked it a tiny bit higher because I'm going to put some letters down here. And what I did is I used the word Gnoel, but the Gnoel is going to be with a G and not an N. Let me show you. Like this. All right, now I want to show you first a trick with the dies that are in the big catalog. Let me show you this die set I just got. It is called Pattern Play, and look at these cute little letters, and there's even some double letters in letters that are used a lot, so then you don't have to cut them twice, you know what I mean? And all the symbols, and it's just a really fun set to have. I always have to have a current alphabet set, and this is the one I chose. So it's called Playful Alphabet. It's $34, and you get 58 dies. Okay, so what I did, because I'm cutting out a lot of these for my Stamp-A-Stack, and I kept having to line up all these letters, so I just set them all down in a tiny compact way, and then I put that, it's kind of like saran wrap. It's called Peel and Stick, I believe, but it's in the saran wrap section. So I just set them down, and then I pressed it on top, so now they all stay together, so that when I put it on my paper, my cardstock, in this case the red foil, I just set it on like that, run it through my machine, and then these will all die cut out. Then I can lift the whole thing up and do it again and again and again, and I don't have to keep messing with those 5 different individual, because sometimes it's kind of hard to maneuver them around and they bounce, but anyway, they stay all together. So that's just one little trick. And then another trick that I did, which a lot of times I'll have grid paper to use just so I can line up better, but I like the dark background when I do my videos, so that's why I'm not using it now. But what I did was I took all these letters and I put adhesive on the back. Now, I did order adhesive strips, and they are coming, but they won't be here till I think tomorrow or Wednesday, so I had to just put snail adhesive on the back, and I just, ran it across. But then what I did was I set a, our clear sheets, and I put it on the line so that and I only put the bottom on here. Like I only went up maybe like a ½ an inch. And so all these are stuck on with adhesive like this, and I lined it up so that they were all in line. That way I know that they're straight, because sometimes when you glue them down, then you have to move them, and sometimes they dry, and then you're in trouble. So that's another little tip for you for getting your letters straight and also centered. Like say you started your G over here and then your L was done here, then it's totally off center. By having it on here, I can sit and play with it and move it to the left or the right. So do you see the little play on words with Noel? And I think that's about straight left to right, I think, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the top down, and then I'll just take the bottom part out. Whoopsie. Don't rip it too fast, or they'll come off like I just did, but just like that. Okay, now it's nice and straight and they're stuck down. If you don't want them flat, I chose to do flat this time because this is so built up, but you could do, we have foam adhesive strips which will pop these up as well. So it's up to you. If you want to cut tiny dimensionals too, there's a lot of different ways. But there's our little Noel card. How do you like it? Oh, I thought this one was so fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. If, like I said, if there's any products do you want to order so that you can make these, if you use the host code, then I get credit for your order and I can put it towards freebies that I give away. And so that just really helps me. So I would appreciate that. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you'll come back again Friday morning, and I'll have another video for you, and you can see what I've been up to again. All right, well, thank you everyone again, and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.